Giant extraterrestrial space ark found under the Atlantic Ocean and is explored in joint US-China mission from a special ocean platform suspended over the submerged craft.
You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
On January 10, 2022, my US Army insider JP revealed that he participated in a classified mission to an extraterrestrial space ark located under the Atlantic Ocean off the Florida coast in the vicinity of Bermuda. This was the second space ark that he has encountered in covert military missions. The first involved a space ark found on the moon, as reported in an earlier article. JP described how the mission began with an official briefing he received at a military base where he is currently serving. Then he was taken by Osprey helicopters to a large donut-shaped platform in the Atlantic, which was placed directly over a submerged space ark. JP estimated it to be at least a mile long, ovoid shaped. What follows are extracts from our Skype call where he described different aspects of the mission. Here is the first extract where he describes being taken to some kind of large platform suspended over the space ark.
Yeah, I think he was one of the pilots that flew us to the ships. These massive boat ships that I was telling you about that has a big surface. They're huge. So we get there and then they line up everybody like in formation, and we have people like sections of different. You can see the painting on the floor. This ship is the same ship that I visited a couple of years ago, but now it had paintings on the floor saying, okay, Chinese, and then it says Russian, but it says it in their language, like where the formation is. So everybody's formation. So I was in United States part, square, where everybody forms up. There's at least 20 or 30 people in the United States, and there are at least 15 Chinese.
JP recognized the ocean platform as the same one he was taken to by a triangle-shaped anti-gravity spacecraft around 2014, which is when he first told me about the platform. Rather than being allowed to descend from the platform to whatever lay beneath, he was denied entry by a senior military officer, a general, and told to leave. At the time, JP was a civilian. JP next described an elevator that carried mission members from the surface down into the interior of the craft. Personnel were mainly drawn from the US and China. Apparently China had been allowed access to the space ark found under the Atlantic as a reciprocal favour after it had allowed the US access to the space ark found by its U-22 rover described in an earlier article. What follows is what JP had to say about the US-China deal and his 2014 trip where he was denied entry into the platform.
Because because of the Chinese, they let us go on the moon, and because they helped us investigate that ship, now we have to let them investigate the one we found here in the Atlantic. It is a deal that we made with the Chinese that, if we go over there, now we let you go on this massive ship that we're going to do the mission with and start this mission. So there was just talking with Chinese generals and about the deal about, okay, yeah, you let us on the moon, but now we're going to let you on this ship. But there's stuff here in this location that was not on the moon that is gonna be groundbreaking. Like it's crazy, the technology that is in this particular ship that is in the Atlantic that got activated with all these other ships that got activated.
Okay, so it's a similar ship to what was found on the moon, just a massive kind of sphere-shaped extraterrestrial craft.
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
And this is like somewhere in the Atlantic near the Bermuda area, and It's at the bottom of the ocean.
Bottom of the ocean. But
Bottom of the
remember, there's a ship that we get on, right, where the ospreys land, and they land there, and then there's like an elevator. It looks like a donut. This massive ship that we get on, it looks like a massive donut, but in the middle, there's like an elevator, like an oil rig kind of thing, looking thing, and then there's an elevator that goes down to this massive ship that is under the Atlantic.
Oh, so this ship or craft that you were taken to is actually floating above the extraterrestrial craft at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, this is I was telling you about that. Everybody lines up, and remember I got in trouble one day because I think Shien or Lovint, I don't know who it was, but we were like, they were talking like, oh, you shouldn't be here. Remember I was telling you about the guy that was doing the briefing. He saw me, he got mad that I was there, and they took me back because I wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, he was a general, right? I think you said.
Yeah, I think he was a general.
Yeah, that he was briefing everyone and like said, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here." And
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that so that structure, it's like you say, it's like a mining rig. It's just built over the abandoned ship or the ET craft, and they go to it down the middle, like a mining rig, like a rig. It's important to note that the Atlantic Arc is much larger than the one found on the Moon. Both were activated when a large fleet of spacecraft arrived and parked in the vicinity of Ganymede, which involved another mission that JP participated in. JP next explains what happened when he travelled down the elevator with the rest of the mission members, which also included a group of indigenous Aztec-looking Indians, into the interior of the giant space ark.
We're there talking, and everybody is like talking about the discovery and how it got activated and how you hear a humming noise, because everybody is like really scared to go into the ship, because once you get close to it, it's like hands going like a wave, like if it's stuck in time. Like you look at your hands and you wave it, and you can see your hand in a wave, like if you're stuck in time. So a lot of people are really scared to go into the ship. But when a group of us, we went, I was dressed in black. We changed. They took us to this room on the back part of the donut part of the ship, and they put us in row. And then we went through like sprays and disinfecting and all that, because whatever was in this ship, we didn't want to bother it with anything that infected, or if there is something living. They found like oxygen, like really pure oxygen inside this ship, and they're thinking that is plants that are still living, a type of like, not fungi, but like a type of algae kind of plant. And one of the scientists, they were telling me that this fungi kind of plant, it glows in the dark, and it's glowing. It's stuck to the walls, and it's connected to the moldavite type of rock that is on the walls, and it's glowing the whole ship like a light bluish greenish color that goes on and off and humming. And we didn't need those drones that we used on the Moon, because in this massive ship there's it was more activated than the other ones.
Okay, so you did go inside, or the elevator from the surface ship goes all the way from the surface of the ocean into the ship?
Yeah, into the surface, into the ship. So after we changed to these black clothes, they put us into the elevator, and everybody was nervous. Everybody was looking at each other. The Chinese, they were laughing. They were laughing at us, like making fun of us, saying like, "Oh, you guys are pussies," like, huh? They were laughing. And I remember seeing Mexicans looking people there as well, but they didn't speak Spanish. They spoke like a like an ancient Aztec language, and they were really short, and you can still see the paint on their faces, but they had these suits on too. So I guess because scientists already went under to that shit, but they couldn't open certain locations. That's what it happens. And when they came up, they were talking about, oh wow, the time is different down there. You can see your hands like multiple times when you wave it, like a type of a matrix, like time is really slow. And when you jump, it takes a couple seconds to jump back down. Like it's crazy. And then we started going down, and then in this elevator is huge. It's big. You can fit like a car in it. And you look around, and then when it goes to the ocean, in two, 3 or 4 seconds, it turns black. Boom. So that's how fast it goes. It goes really fast. And we have to buckle up on the elevator, but we're standing up. There's no seats. So we stand on the walls, and you buckle up, and you stay standing up. And it goes down, and you can feel your ears popping like it pops like really fast. And then the elevator has this pressurized, it pressurizes itself, and then you can see it turning small because of the pressure. But it's a type of metal that is really unbreakable. It doesn't break. It's a type of metal. So when it goes down, the pressure, it doesn't squeeze the elevator. But when it goes up and down, you can see it expanding and turning small.
There was a time dilation effect that mission members experienced inside the craft, and the air was compressed to facilitate their trip into the interior of the craft that would have been pressurized to some degree to withstand the enormous ocean pressures at the bottom of the Atlantic. Once inside the space ark, JP revealed that the Mexican Aztec-looking members recognized some of the hieroglyphic writing and reacted very emotionally to what they were seeing. He again elaborated on the space-time effect in the ark.
So, and when you're down there, what do you see?
We see the lights of the algae like all around the place, and then the little Mexicans, they started pointing at the wall on these kind of writings that they were familiar with. So we went over there with them, and they were like touching it, and they were like crying and happy, and they were like looking at it, and they were like, "Akulia mate." I remember that particular word, "Akulia mate, akulia mate, akulia mate," and they were like touching it, and they were really happy. That's a particular phrase that I remember. "Akulia mate, akulia mate, akulia mate, akulia," and they were crying and saying that word, and they were like almost dancing because they saw this particular writing. I think it was a missing writing on one of their temples in Mexico, or one of these Aztec writings that they were like really looking for. The ruins is actually connected to a tunnel that goes in the earth, but we wasn't allowed to go in there. The little Mexicans looking people, the Indian, they went in, and they were only allowed to go in there because I think it was sacred to them, that particular area where they went under. And then when they went under, they never came back. And everybody was like, wow, okay, what do we do now? What do we tell upstairs when we come back and they don't, they're not coming back? And we were like, oh crap, oh shit, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna say? And then the Chinese, they were starting walking towards over there, and then they started going slow, like everything was like going like time. And then one of the Chinese came back, and he was out of breath. He was like really mad that they couldn't go. And then they started arguing with one of our guys, saying, hey, you guys promised us that we were gonna go in there and investigate everything just the same way we went to the moon, and we're not getting access. So they were getting mad because they wasn't getting access, but it wasn't our fault. The ship itself let certain people in and certain people out.
This is a fascinating observation by JP about how the extraterrestrial Ark would react to different visitors. The Mexican Aztec group was allowed to proceed far ahead, presumably because their genetics and/or frequencies were acceptable. However, when the Chinese tried to do the same, they were blocked by the craft, which recognized some incompatibility. Could this have anything to do with Communist China's materialist philosophy influencing behavior and beliefs, thereby precluding them access deeper into the craft on their own? JP continued his account of what happened as the multinational mission members moved forward in their exploration of the Ark.
So when we went in, we started going through, and everything started going slow, like in slow motion, and we felt like a peace and happiness. And then the Chinese, after we started going in, the Chinese were behind us, following us. So we were going in little by little, and then in the distance, you could see like lights of certain kind of like crystals, like moldavite, like shining into the walls, and it was beautiful. And you could see certain kind of plants that glow, and amazing. It is mind-blowing, the experience. And everybody was like almost in a chain because we were like holding each other to get to this particular spot. And after we got to a particular place where it was full of plants that glow, we saw the little Mexicans like out in the distance, but we couldn't reach them. We screamed, we talked to them, but they couldn't hear us. But we still saw them keep going, but in slow motion. But they probably like was like gone. But we could still see the reflection of their body like leaving, like disappearing. Like you could see it disappear.
This disappearance of the Mexican Aztec group was unanticipated, but the Mexican scientist and translator accompanying them stayed with the mission. JP described recognizing one of the Chinese scientists as the same person he witnessed during his visit to the ancient space ark found on the moon.
So we got to this location, and then the Mexican scientist that was there, he stayed with us, and the other little people that were Mexicans, they left, and we didn't see it no more. And we were also investigating the walls, the writings of the walls, and that same Chinese archaeologist that was on the moon, he was there as well. I saw him, but the guy that I was with in the moon, he was not there. There was another different guy there, investigating the writings and all that. And we were there just to, be with him and make sure everything is, he does his work right. The other guy was told to watch over the Chinese because they wanted a particular information that they didn't tell us that they found on the moon.
It is noticeable that even though the US and China were conducting a joint mission to explore the submerged craft, there were deep suspicions on both sides that the other was holding out on key information vital to mission success. It appears that this is going to be a perennial problem between the US and China as they collaborate in joint missions vital to planetary security. In the next extract from our Skype call, JP responded to one of my questions.
What was it about the ship that activated? I mean, you said, the scientists or the military got very interested, or that this craft activated. And, so before they were there, they saw it and they were inside, and it wasn't activated. So when it activated, what happened?
Well, everything started glowing. Everything, you can see the writings glowing because the writings, they're like they're like carved in, but because of the algae that's grow on them and it glows, you can see them. You can see the language easier with the glowness of the algae that's on top of the writing. So you can see it with more perfection. That's what really intrigued the scientists. that there were some parts that they didn't know that there was writings. There were writings there, and they found some similar language of the Aztecs.
The strange hieroglyphic writing could be clearly seen glowing under the algae that covered it. I next asked JP to describe what he was feeling when inside the craft.
So when you're inside the craft, you said you felt good. Can you talk more about your feelings? What you were sensing?
Similar to what we felt in Ganymede, near that Ganymede, in that particular building. You feel that happiness, and similar to what you feel in the moon, but it was more intense. What we felt here on this ship.
When you say more intense, just describe what was going on.
It was you see everything slow, and you feel so happy that you feel like crying, that you feel like good. The only people that were mad was the Chinese, because there wasn't given access, but you could also see in their face that they were astonished of what they were seeing. They were happy. They were almost crying. But not like these the little Mexican people. They were really happy. They were like dancing, and they were like they were really happy. And then I remember looking at these other writings that I remember seeing in Ganymede. It looked really, really similar. These writings, I felt so much peace. Like if everything was connected, like I felt like I was on the moon and Ganymede, like the same feeling.
Okay, just remind me, when you're on the moon, so when you're on Ganymede, you went to some different locations and spots on the surface of Ganymede, different locations. Were any of these kind of similar, like ships, similar ships, or are they just similar technology?
Similar technology. It's the same type of technology, but I think this one's even more ancient. Like it's older. You can tell it's more older. Like the wear of it, it's older. But I think they're like the same. I think the same age.
JP described how he and a few other individuals had the ability to activate the Ark by simply being physically close to it. JP described how the Ark lit up in areas that he walked into, but this was not the case with other personnel.
So when you went down there, your job was to accompany or assist an archaeologist studying the writings?
There are some things that were activated when I got there. I don't know.
Tell me about that. So when you arrived, things began to activate.
Yes, things began to light up when when certain people go, no lights turn on. But when I went, certain lights came on, and they were like, "What the hell?" People were like, "The hell?" Like they were like surprised. It was weird, but it was a good feeling. It was certain lights on the walls that were not on, and they glowed on when I arrived.
All right, so your physical presence is part of the activation process, or maybe you have genes, or
There was a guy also from the Chinese. There was a guy that I could not see his face. He had a hoodie, and he was with the Chinese, and he was also activating, lights and all that. And then when I wanted to see his face, always, he never let me see his face. Never let me see this guy's face. Like I couldn't see his face. He had a hoodie, and he was also working with the Chinese. But on the other side, you could see the lights activating when he waved his hand. Like he knew what he was doing, like activating the lights, and he knew that, what he was doing. I did not know. I just walked in and lights turned on. But I think there's certain people around the world that have, that they can activate these ruins.
Some have inquired about the rather mundane roles JP appeared to play in his covert missions to Ganymede and the Moon, given his low military rank and rather dreary armed escort duties for archaeologists studying the strange hieroglyphic language. One of the things JP shared in our communication since 2008 is that he was often taken by human-looking extraterrestrials into large hemisphere structures, which he described as arcs. He witnessed ancient plants, animals and technologies that were being preserved for a future time. He also said that he met several other individuals being taken to these arks, one of whom was a Chinese national. JP said he was taken to these large arks for a time when they would become important for humanity in dealing with planet-wide contingencies. JP began sharing this information with me around 2014, and I kept this information to myself since no one else was talking about it. US covert operatives, however, have monitored JP's extraterrestrial contacts and our communications since 2008. This is best evidenced in photos of classified triangle and rectangle-shaped spacecraft he photographed near MacDill Air Force Base in 2017 that he sent to me for public release with the active support of covert operatives. This leads me to believe that JP is doing far more than simply escorting scientists to these ancient arks and performing mundane escort duties. Due to his earlier access or innate genetic traits, he carries some energetic frequency, vibration or code that activates parts of the crafts he visits, thereby facilitating the safety and success of missions to these ancient space arks. What is intriguing about JP's January 10 mission to one of the ancient extraterrestrial arks being found under the Atlantic Ocean is that it matches with information released by Thorhan Eredjian through Elena Danan on January 4. When asked by Elena where the ancient arks could be found on Earth, Thorhan replied, South America, Central Europe, northwest of Russia, one under the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. This one is the biggest. There are others as well, but I won't tell any precise coordinates. It is not my responsibility, but that of the Earth Alliance." End quote. Less than a week before JP's mission, Thorhan had already independently confirmed that a space ark was under the Atlantic and it was the largest of all those hidden throughout our planet. I found this to be stunning corroboration since JP had first told me about a location in the Atlantic to which he was taken around 2014 where a massive circle-shaped platform was suspended over the top of something big. He wasn't allowed to enter the floating structure when he was taken there by covert operatives. In short, JP had learned about something hidden in the Atlantic years before Thorhan's statement. In conclusion, JP's trip inside the space ark located under the Atlantic Ocean is likely just the first step in these arks being revealed. Their activation signals that there is a timetable now in play, and it's up to the Earth Alliance to reveal them. The ark's location does raise the question of any possible connection to ancient Atlantis, UFO sightings in the area, and of course the famed Bermuda Triangle. I hope to soon learn from others who may have insight into what lies hidden deep beneath the Atlantic, which the US Navy is keeping hidden from American citizens and the world. This has been Dr. Michael Salla with Exopolitics Today. If you wish to learn more about JP and his covert missions that I've documented since 2017, please visit my website. You can find the page I created for JP by going to the Resources tab in the navigation menu of my website. To get the latest updates about JP and other exopolitics issues, please remember to subscribe on my website. And remember to like and subscribe to my Exopolitics Today podcast. Thank you for listening.